Welcome back to the channel. We have a bit of a different video for you here today. I collected a bunch of questions from the YouTube comments and our Discord server, and I'm going to run through as many of those as I can in this video. I also want to take a moment and give you guys a channel update on some of the things that we're working on, hopefully adding to the channel this year, and I kind of want your feedback and kind of see what you guys think. So first off, I apologize for taking so long to get this video out. I actually recorded this twice before, and the second time, I thought we were pretty good to go, and then when I went to go edit it, I realized that the microphone was just randomly cutting out halfway through sentences. It was kind of painful to listen to. Eventually figured out that it was actually the physical microphone was just fatigued after 10 years. Same microphone I've used for almost a decade on the channel, so no complaints there, but it was just time to finally get a new one. So that arrived after about a week, and then here we are. Actually, kind of funny story for you. Last week, we tried to record a video Wednesday, and at exactly the moment Thor hopped on Discord, my entire town had a blackout for 3.5 hours. The next day we tried to record the same video, Thor lost power, and then the day after that, Zoot lost power. So just been some odd stuff going on that you just can't really plan for. But let's get into the channel update so that we can get into the questions that you guys asked. First off, I want to just talk about a couple things that I'm looking to possibly add to this channel or maybe the other channel. And I want you guys' feedback on kind of what you'd like to see and maybe coming up with a name for these two series. So if you may have noticed at the beginning of some of the videos that we do, I've been adding like a 5 to 6 minute kind of history / vehicle overview, and I'd like to keep doing that more with the normal content we put up, but I also want to try to do some dedicated videos on certain vehicles. If we did a dedicated like 15 to 20 minute video that was dedicated to the history of a vehicle, what would be a good name for that series? Something catchy and something that you guys would know that this is definitely not a normal upload. And my goal would be try to do 1 or 2 of those a month. And before I get to the second thing I want to talk about, I want to take a second and thank our Patreons for being huge supporters to the channel. And we do offer some benefits to those who do donate through Patreon. We do monthly custom battles for them over on our Discord. And then I'd like to kind of expand that this year to a couple other things I'll be talking about here in a second. I actually took about the past month and a half of donations from that and bought a bunch of camera equipment. And I'm looking at here maybe the next week or two going out to the 2 local museums and trying to do kind of a walkthrough recording / tour of what they have here. They're kind of 2 small museums, but I figured that'd be the first one kind of nice to set up at and talk about the planes, talk about the actual museums, and kind of just give you an idea of what is out there. I am though for most certainly going to be uploading it first probably to Patrons a week early, and then probably a week after that I'll put it up for the YouTube members, and then I'll probably eventually publish it to everybody. It's going to probably start out a little rough. I've never done a lot of real life content, so you'll have to kind of bear with me as it gets better. That's one thing I'm kind of nervous about, is just doing something completely new. But it's also really exciting because I get to develop a new skill set and travel and do all that stuff. And again, thank you so much to all the Patreons for helping making this possible. I'm going to do a pinned comment at the bottom of this video with all the links that you guys may want to reference if any of this stuff interests you. But if you're interested in becoming a Patreon, I'll put the link on the screen here for you now, or you can just go to the pinned comment and click on that. If you have any ideas of what we should call those 2 new series, please leave a comment below. And without further ado, let's get into some questions. How do you do research for videos, and what are some of the most reputable sources? So I actually have something to announce with this, which is why I picked this as the first question. But generally the first thing I want to do is I want to find things that are in print, and then I really try to stay away just from certain publishers that are kind of mass. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's certain books that I really trust, and then there's some that I really don't. And then from there I kind of try to spread out and find other resources online if I have to. My goal is to generally find as many trustworthy sources as I can that keep collaborating the same statement. What I find happening a lot is that you'll have one book published like back in the 1950s that'll state something, and then sometimes you'll have like 10 more books published that all reference that same book. Well, that doesn't make it true if it's printed 10 times and it's all using the same source. If the information was wrong or a lie, they just reprinted the same lie 10 times. If I can get multiple sources that look at something from different directions and different angles that all come to the same conclusion. And to give you a quick example, if a U.S. pilot in World War II claims that he shot down an Me-262 on a certain date and time, and you can go over to the German side and see their reported losses, and you see a 262 was lost from this airbase on this date, then you have a collaborating piece of information that helps confirm that story from 2 sides. Doesn't necessarily make it true, but it just keeps help building a case that the original claim might be more fact than fiction. I know this is a bit nerdy, but hopefully you're finding some of this interesting. War Thunder's been adding so many kind of just off-the-wall vehicles that weren't really produced in high numbers or really well known about. So finding multiple sources talking about some of this newer stuff has been difficult. And I try to highlight when I don't have a for sure answer about something. And my goal is to always present to you guys the best information that I can find. I really wanted to make a joke here about War Thunder and classified information. Hi, government. There's absolutely nothing to see here. I pay my taxes. The last thing I want to say in reference to this question is I want to add a new feature to our Patreons, and I promise this video is not some giant like advertisement to get people to sign up for Patreon. I am going to start trying to post most of my sources as videos come out in a channel on Discord for you. I won't be posting anything from books per se, but I'll give you the picture of the book and what books I use, and then any online resources I will provide with that. So anything that's kind of open source I will provide on there, and then if I pay for anything I will show you what I pay for. So if you're a Patreon, join our Discord and you'll have access to all of that. If you have any questions or inquiries about any information about certain vehicles that you'd like to know good sources for, I also have a channel for that to help assist you in finding resources. Sorry that was a bit long-winded, but we're going to get on to our second question, and I know a lot of you have been inquiring about this. Any update on Jim and when or if we expect his return? So from talking to Jim, he's mentioned multiple times that he does want to eventually return to content creation. He just really needed a break. There's no timetable for his return, and I don't want to give you guys a date to say, you know, hey, he might be back in a week or a month or 6 months. I don't know. That's up to him and when he feels he's ready. I don't want to dive too much into his or the other guys' personal lives, but I will say that Jim was having a difficult time at his job last year. He was not happy with where he was, and he took a couple new jobs that did not really work out for him, and then he eventually landed at a place that he really wanted to be, and he's been putting his time and effort into that and trying to focus on real life. So this was not like there was no drama or anything. It's just sometimes real life just hits you in the face, and he's trying to focus on what he needs to focus on for him. It's actually been kind of crazy how many other guys have had to change jobs, or a couple are deployed overseas right now, or their jobs have been just absolutely consuming them. Poor Hambone, we've been joking, only has an apartment so he can eat and sleep in it. We don't think he actually ever stays there more than 6 hours at a time. I made this joke to him, and then he explained to me that he has a trailer at work that he can use to stay at night there. So sometimes he may not even come home. Next question, has anyone ever mentioned that you both sound like Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon? Because you do, and it's awesome. I've had 2 girls tell this to me, and it has absolutely thrown me for a loop, and I completely lose all self-esteem and self-confidence when talking to them. Like, if you want to completely just throw me off my game, which there is little game or no game whatsoever, just say I sound like Hiccup. I don't know where this comes from, and now you're putting it out there again. It's in my head, so you're the third person to tell me this. So we've seen a lot of varied conversations about videos and streams over the years, some of which have really gone off topic or just ended in pronounced levels of absurdity. Has there been anything said by people within or outside TBLF that have truly caught you off guard or make you pause and think, how the hell did I get here? So way back, once upon a time, we ran into this viewer in a match that kept saying he wanted my magic flakes, and then he would fly really close to me and then would keep yelling in chat, give me the magic flakes, give me all your magic flakes, I want Bo's magic flakes. And we're like, okay, that's really odd. And then he kept messaging a couple of the other guys over the next weeks or months, do you have any of Bo's magic flakes? I need the magic flakes. And that was so strange. Like, I don't know, that right there, can anybody explain to me what the hell magic flakes are? Like, I think he wants my dead skin. I'm afraid to ask, though. I'm truly terrified. You trying to clone me? I don't know what to say to this. All right, these questions are getting more and more a little unhinged. Is my printer sentient, and how do I defend myself from it? Every printer was born demonic. Do not trust them. They are not your friends. The printer is supposed to be there to serve you, but in reality, it's going to take all your patience, your time, and it's going to just eat your soul. If you think it's sentient, extreme violence. Printers only respond to violence. Do not try to reason with it. It is not your friend, and it will never work right either. Set it on fire? Maybe. That'd be bad for the environment, but fire might be also a option. I know the person that asked this question, and they did this just to raise my blood pressure, and it has worked. During this entire time I've been talking, I just keep thinking about how much I hate print servers. Like, you have no idea how I would just love to go back in time and prevent the person, the unpaid intern who programmed Microsoft print servers, from completing that piece of crap programming. I swear it's probably also that person's kid who made Microsoft Teams. We're bringing up a lot of IT trauma, and I apologize. Have you ever ran into anyone in real life randomly that recognized your voice or anything from your content? Okay, so there's 2 stories from the guys I'm going to share about this. Nothing really like super weird in my life on this, but I got two really good stories for you. So the first story comes from Stick Boy when he was in college, and as they're waiting for class to start, he hears his own voice from the kid next to him. And the guy next to him was watching the newest fail montage that morning, and Stick had to sit there and listen to his own voice being watched right beside him. One of Mo Evil's kids' friends from church recognized Mo's voice and then started showing his kid all the videos that Mo was in, especially back in the day when Mo used to drink quite a bit more and we played Rainbow Six Siege and those other games when he was really heavily intoxicated. So Mo became quite the celebrity around church, and yeah, you can imagine how that embarrassment probably went. What is the worst crime against food you committed, and how does it compare to Stick Boy's rap sheet? So when I lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I was going to college there, and I did not have a red penny to my name. And so I went out and I tried to buy, like, groceries efficiently. And I thought I had a great idea by buying a whole chicken that would get a lot of meat for a very cheap price. But I didn't, like, own anything. I had, like, next to nothing at my apartment. So somebody gave me a crock pot, and I had a chicken. And I was like, okay, first plan, I'll just boil the chicken in the crock pot, and then I'll have cooked chicken meat, and then from there, I'll make something else with it. Like, I was gonna make like chicken and pasta, or I don't know. I didn't have a plan. No seasoning whatsoever. It was so awful. I can't tell you. I probably put in there way too long because I was like, oh, if I boil it enough, I'll debone it. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. It was so disgusting. Completely flavorless crock pot boiled chicken. It was disgusting. I thought maybe I'll make chicken broth out of it. Oh God, I can't even describe how awful it was. I saw this next question. I absolutely had to add it because I immediately had a story that came to mind. What has been your most Texan moment so far? So when I moved back to Texas, I bought a house here, and the house had an address according to the city, but the city never reported the address to the rest of the government. Only the city knew that I existed. So it took like forever for them to actually get the paperwork and push it through that I had an address that 911 recognized, the US Post Office recognized, and so on. It's kind of a big problem. So it took about like 60 to 90 days, I think, to get the post office to finally recognize that I lived here and mail had to go here. And so every week or 2 weeks, I'd have to go in and fight with the local post office manager or whatever they're called, because I needed her to file something on her end to help make the post office system recognize I exist. I don't understand how this works. It's the federal government. We're going to skip some of these details because after going through this hell, I still don't quite understand what the hell was happening. I went in there after 6 weeks of this to get an update because she wasn't responding to emails or phone calls from me. And there's a little side window that she likes all the problem people to line up at because she doesn't want to talk to you at the main counter in front of customers. So it's me and another lady over there. She helps the first lady. And then I walk up to the window and she goes, "Oh, you again. I absolutely have no time for this. You need to get on my face." And I said, "Can I just please get an update on, like, have you filed the paperwork? You know, where are we at in the process on this?" And she goes, "It gets done when it gets done. I'm going to help people that I can actually help here and not take up their time," or something. Something along those lines. She was very rude. So during the time of her and I kind of going back and forth about my address not being a real address, a line formed behind me. And the most, like, Sam Elliott looking Texan, boots with spurs and jeans and a big belt buckle, guy was probably in his late 70s, full-on rancher. I kind of hassed up out of line and he goes, "Nah, he can take my spot. I want to see how this plays out. I'm quite vested in this now." So like the 6 people behind me were like, "Yeah, go ahead, take your time. We want to see what happens." And so it was like 20 minutes of me and her going back and forth at each other. And of course, eventually this whole situation got resolved. It's a long story. For those that followed the channel for several years, you'll remember all this going on. But I'll never forget that cowboy going, "I'm quite vested in this now. I want to see how this plays out. Will you come back to SnowRunner?" So we've been talking off and on about doing new SnowRunner content, and I'm kind of split. So we have 2 channels right now. We have the Bowtime Gaming YouTube channel that we have here, and then last summer we started the Bowside B channel for kind of all the other games that we play. If you haven't had a chance to check out that channel, I highly encourage you to. I'll put a link up on the screen for you now, and then there'll be another link in the pinned comment below. But we do put a lot of different games over there on that channel with a lot of new and familiar faces from this channel. SnowRunner has always done really well on the main channel, and I was kind of trying to keep the main channel stuck to just mostly military or military history games, especially around vehicles and so on. But I'm kind of thinking about maybe we bring SnowRunner back to this channel occasionally, since it did so well and since most people I think are looking for it on this channel. If you follow both channels, you should see both things pop up in your sub feed. So best museum you have been to for military history, or choice of museum you want to go to? My all-time favorite museum to go to is the Chicago Field Museum and hang out with my favorite dinosaur, Sue, the T-Rex. That was quite the big deal when I used to live up in Michigan when they originally got Sue to that museum. But also, they have a lot of really cool things on display, and it's just a really neat museum. Now, there's a new museum that I found locally here called the International Artillery Museum in a tiny town north of me. And what I found very odd and interesting is that most of the things that are displayed there apparently have price tags. Like, their gift shop is insane. They have like Carl Gustavs and RPG-7s. They're all demilled and inert, of course, but they have all these crazy things for sale. And I kind of started thinking like, hey, they have a Carl Gustav for sale. It's quite expensive, but man, like, could I make that a tax write-off? Can I make content with a non-functioning demilled inert Carl Gustav? That was for the three-letter agencies, not for you guys. I just, again, need to make that clear. Like, there's got to be a way, right? If we go do a tour of that museum for a video, we have to come back with something cool, right? They have like, there's like a T-55 with a price tag on, or T-54. Sorry, I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but they have all kinds of crazy things for sale there. They have a Long Tom for sale. It's crazy. We have to get up there sometime soon and check it out. Is this what you wanted to do when you were younger, and how did you figure out what you wanted to do? Just want some guidance for what to do out of high school. When I graduated high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I actually kind of rushed to go to college because I was like, okay, my whole family went to college, and that seems to be the next logical step. And I wasted a year of my life on a degree that I had no plans of actually taking. I was like, I'll just figure it out as I go. I didn't figure it out. That being said, that 1 year, I made a bunch of great friends. I moved to the other side of the country, and I have a bunch of life experiences that I think are just more valuable to me than the actual education. It actually took me 3 different attempts at college to finally get a degree and get something that I was like, all right, I'm going to commit to this one and do it, because I was so lost in my 20s, and that's okay. You can be lost in your 20s. That's kind of why I think you have your 20s. You don't have to have every answer to life when you're coming out of high school. The best advice I can give you is that don't be afraid of failure. Life is going to have a bunch of up and downs. And every time that a door closed in my life, either I left a job or a relationship ended, whatever, even though it sucked at the moment, a new door or a new path would emerge. And through those ups and downs, you create life experiences, and it helps form who you are as a person. When something doesn't go your way, it doesn't make you a failure. As long as you keep moving in a direction, you will get to where you're supposed to be. I can't tell you where that's supposed to be, but I can tell you a lot of people don't end up where they thought they were going to. And as you're going through your 20s and 30s, I'm going to give you a piece of advice I wish somebody gave me. Comparison is the thief of joy. Do not compare yourself to your classmates or your friends, because everybody's going to have their own individual path, and you'll get there when you get there. Find what you're passionate about. It's your life. Live it for yourself and your family. Hambone asked me, what's the wildest thing a sponsor ever offered you that you seriously considered? And I had to answer this question, although I'm probably going to regret this. So back in the day when the channel was really small, one of the first legitimate offers we have for sponsorship came from an online dating service. Or that's at least how they present themselves to me. Oh, this is gonna hurt to explain. So initially they came to me and they offered $2,500, which immediately had my attention. And then they tried to sweeten the deal by giving us all lifetime memberships to the website, which we honestly didn't really care about. And then they were like, well, wait, we'll make it sweeter for you. We'll give you another $2,500 if you let us play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 with you on Twitch for 6 hours. And I was like, well, like to discuss your website or your product, or... And they're like, nah, we just want to play COD. And then they were like, if you want the $2,500, we need you to go on 3 dates, document it, do reviews, tell people about how your dates went. We jokingly looked at the website harder, and we realized that it was not actually a dating site. And this is where it's going to be hard to explain what this is, but basically it was online gamer girl escort. They would have gamer girls on there that you would pay $15 like every 5 minutes, or some crazy charge, like $60 for 10 minutes or something. I forgot. It was some crazy fee. But basically, like, some of these girls were asking for $250 for an hour of their time to play something, and they would pretend to be your friend or companion. It was just disturbing. Those guys were so strange right off the bat from the emails they sent me. Like, we all had a good laugh and then blocked everything that we could from them. Yeah, that had to be the weirdest offer ever. And the more we dug into it, the more like, what the hell is this? Were you always a PC gamer, or what consoles did you have? What were your favorite consoles, if any, and what games would you consider absolute classics? So my parents were absolutely against me having any consoles. My grandparents had an Atari at their lake house that I occasionally played, but that was basically it. And then my friend who lived a couple houses down got a Nintendo, and we were immediately hooked on Super Mario Brothers. I was constantly over there playing Nintendo. And then about a year later, I convinced my parents to let him bring the Nintendo to our house for a sleepover. And they were so opposed to this. And they were like, it's going to kill the TV. It's going to break the TV. And I'm like, no, you're just being paranoid. People plug in Nintendos all the time. Nothing bad happens. I plugged in that stupid Nintendo to our 27-inch Zenith TV and turned it on, and it went pop and smoke poured out the back of the TV. My dad's cherished 27-inch color TV in like 1992 or 93, just sitting there smoking, and I knew that that was the end of any console conversation ever again until I was 18 and I could buy one for myself. The second I went to college, I immediately bought an Xbox. Halo 2 in the dorm room. Great times. But yeah, that Nintendo blowing up that TV is a scarring childhood moment. Next question. If you could delete one vehicle from War Thunder forever, which one would you choose? Right now, it's absolutely the Terminator. I don't like the way that they added a premium and non-premium one at the battle ratings they did with the armor, with the issues. That vehicle has been kind of just a hot mess for us, and it was brutal to play against them. We were actually looking forward to getting an M10 Booker and a Ajax video out, and we kind of set those aside at the moment until the Terminators hopefully keep dying down. I think we're probably at a safe point where we could revisit the Ajax at least, but playing against, like, there was like 300 to 1,000 Russian players at that battering queue at all times. That was insane. But the vehicle itself, I just don't really see how it fits into War Thunder particularly well. I don't want to get into this huge debate because I know people play it and they like the Terminator, but it's a vehicle that I feared that they would add, and when they added it, my worst fears were kind of, you know, realized for the game. And before I get too far into a rant, let's take a look at the next question. With all the changes to War Thunder over the years, which era of War Thunder was your favorite? Honestly, probably like the second or third patch that I was playing. I think it was like 1.33 back in the day, somewhere around there. War Thunder Air was just really, I think, at its peak. It was a lot of like America versus Japan or America versus Germany, British versus Germany. You know, there wasn't a lot of the mixed nation stuff going on. And the air maps used to have objectives that really felt like they mattered. Like, destroy that convoy before it lands at that beachhead so they can't take that airfield. And then the enemies wouldn't have that forward airfield to land at. Or if you blow up that bridge, that convoy can't reach the airfield, which denies the enemy more forward positioned airfield. And I understand with as many vehicles we have in the game, it's completely impossible now. But it was a lot of fun having Hellcats versus Zeros or P-38s versus Zeros. I really like that more isolated matchmaking on maps that made sense. So for me, those will always be special days. Especially the top tier at that time was like F-86 Sabres and F-9F Panthers versus MiG-15s and MiG-9s. Like, that's all that lobby was full of. And those were great matches. I miss those days so much. I know only having 4 different styles of planes in a match sounds completely horrible in today's War Thunder, but trust me, it led to some amazing dogfights. What is your favorite game of all time? It could be a video game, a physical activity game, a board game, card game, anything, even something completely made up. I originally started as a big Battlefield player. I first got hooked on Battlefield 1942, and I played almost all of them except for the Xbox, like Modern Combat, and then the one Battlefield Pacific that was like a thing on PlayStation 3. I think those are the only 2 that I never played. But yeah, Battlefield was probably the first like FPS that I ever put a ton of time into, and I'd probably go with that one as my one. And then the Left 4 Dead series is also another big one that I played probably far too many hours in. I actually tried to play Left 4 Dead 1 competitively back in the day, so those 2 will always have a special place for me. Will you make a video playing IL-2 Korea when it comes out? I am definitely interested in playing IL-2 Korea, and we will be putting content up on the channel. I don't have a timetable for it right now. There's actually several games I'm very excited to hopefully start adding around the spring and summer when they release. I think the big thing that's kind of keeping the group from jumping onto IL-2 Korea right now is the initial cost. I know I plan on picking up when it drops, and then some of the others will be picking up as more planes eventually do get added. But I am very hopeful from what I've seen from the game thus far. A couple months ago in the Flat Panzer 341 video before your break until the APHE reverse bug got fixed, it was mentioned that an X4 missile video was in the works and coming soon. Do you think we will ever see that? Would love to see, especially if you include a little history like you sometimes do. I've always liked that. Thanks for the videos. I always enjoy. So yes, I've actually already put 3 days of recording into the X4 missile video, and then like 2 more War Thunder patches dropped right on top of it, and a bunch of stuff happened in real life. And I want to apologize for not getting that video out sooner, but it is one of the ones that I want to take my time and do correctly. I have 3 pages scribbled down about the X4 missile on a legal pad next to me here, so the video will definitely happen. The 3 big hurdles that kind of slowed down that video was, one, I actually have to get half decent with the X4. And I'm able to, I'd say, hit bombers about 40% of the time right now. But I definitely want to get better with that and get you guys good footage with that missile and take the time to learn how to play it effectively. And then secondly, just the guy's availability was just everywhere over Christmas, and that video just kind of got pushed back behind other projects. But I've caught up on a lot of stuff, and I hate giving timetables because you know how things go, because we have another War Thunder patch that's going to drop soon. But I do have a whole folder on my recording hard drive with X4 missile footage. I have a legal pad of X4 notes. It'll happen, I promise. I'm going to black out this person's name so they don't get in trouble. But I saw this comment and had to add it. Can you commit arson for my fire department? We haven't had a good fire in a few months. I'll also provide the fuel and everything and give you an alibi. My man, do you need help? Like, you can, like, do you need help? I'm concerned about you. I don't know how to respond to this. Should I just pencil this in right between tax fraud and summon tornado? Like, I don't know how to help you here. Also, the last thing I want to do is piss off Smokey the Bear and have him come visit me in the middle of the night. Or are you a federal agent trying to catch me? Because I don't want to be on the evening news, dude. What restaurant could hold off an assault from the Russian military the longest, and why would it be Waffle House? So I actually put a bit of thought into this. I don't like Waffle House as a defensible position because they have the glass windows all across the front. I know there's probably some rough characters that go to Waffle House at 2 in the morning that would give the Russian military a run for its money. But I don't think it's a very defensible position. I think you have to find like one of those super sketchy Mexican restaurants that have no windows and they just have like a back door for trash, and then the one door that's maybe glass door at the front that has no windows whatsoever, just concrete blocks, you know? There's probably a strip club that got converted to a Mexican restaurant. Yeah, that's a thing I've seen in Texas from time to time. But you want to get that fatal funnel. Alright, and that is the last question I have for you guys today. Thank you so much if you made it to this point in the video. I really appreciate it. I think that we should probably try to do one of these maybe every 10,000 subs or something in the channel. I don't know. How often would you guys want one of these? If you have any questions that you'd like to see answered in one of these videos, or just have me answer in general, always please feel free to comment. I do the best I can to read as many YouTube comments as I can, and I'll try to respond if possible. And as always, this is where I awkwardly say thanks for watching.